HarperCollins and Harper Audio present The New Wilderness, a novel, by Diane Cook, performed by Stacey Glemboski. I am glad I shall never be young without wild country to be young in. Of what avail are 40 freedoms without a blank spot on the map? Aldo Leopold. Get me out of here, get me out of here. I hate it here. Get me out of here. Alex Chilton. Part 1. The Ballad of Beatrice. The baby emerged from B, the color of a bruise. B burned the cord somewhere between them and uncoiled it from the girl's slight neck and, though she knew it was useless, swept her daughter up into her hands, tapped on her soft chest, and blew a few shallow breaths into her slimy mouth. Around her, the singular song of crickets expanded. Bee's skin prickled from heat. Sweat dried on her back and face. The sun had crested and would, more quickly than seemed right, fall again. From where Bee knelt, she saw their valley, its secret grasses and sage. In the distance were lonely buttes and, closer, mud mounds that looked like cairns marking the way somewhere. The caldera stood sharp and white on the horizon. Bee dug into the hard earth with a stick, then a stone, then hollowed and smoothed it with her hands. She scooped the placenta into it, then the girl. The hole was shallow, and her baby's belly jutted from it. Wet from birth, the little body held on to coarse sand, and tiny golden buds brittled from their stems by the heat of the sun. She sprinkled more dust onto the baby's forehead, pulled from her deer-hide bag several wilted green leaves and laid them over the girl. She broke off craggy branches from the surrounding sage, laid them over the distended belly, the absurdly small shoulders. The baby was a misshapen mound of plant green, rust-red blood, a dull, violet map of veins under wet tissue skin. Now the animals, who had sensed it, were converging. In the sky, a cyclone of buzzards lowered as if to check on the progress, then uplifted on a thermal. She heard the soft tread of coyotes. They wove through the bloomy sage. A mother and 3 skinny kits appeared under jaggedly thrown shade. Bee heard whines ease from their impassive yawns. They would wait. A wind stirred, and she breathed in the dusty heat. She missed the stagnant scent of the hospital room, where she'd given birth to Agnes what must have been 8 years ago now. The way the scratchy gown had stretched across her chest and gotten tangled up when she tried to roll to either side. How the cool air blew around her hips, between her legs, where her doctor and nurses stared, prodded, and pulled Agnes from her. She'd hated the feeling, so exposed, used, animal-like. But here, it was all dust and hot air. Here she had needed to guide the small body. Had she been 5 months pregnant, 6, 7? Out with one hand, while with the other she'd had to block a diving magpie. She had wanted to be alone for this, but what she wouldn't have given for a probing gloved hand, stale recirculated air, humming machines, fresh sheets under her rather than desert dust. Some sterile comfort. What she wouldn't have given for her mother. Bee hissed at the coyotes. "Scram," she said, pitching the dirt and pebbles she'd just dug at them. But they only slid their ears back, the mother sinking to her haunches and the kits nipping at her snout, irritating her. She probably snuck off from the rest of the pack to get her young something extra, or to let them practice scavenging, to practice surviving. It's what mothers did. Bee shooed a fly from near the baby's eyes, which at first had looked startled over having not made it, but now seemed accusatory. The truth was, Bee hadn't wanted the baby, not here. It would have been wrong to bring her into this world. That's what she'd felt all along. But what if the girl had sensed Bee's dread and died from not being wanted? Bee choked. "This is for the best," she told her. The girl's eyes clouded over with the clouds that rolled overhead. During one night walk, back when she'd had a flashlight,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?